How many more cities do you guys have to do, like, after this?
3.
3 more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been to any before this one?
No, this is our first.
So this is the first.
Yeah,
this
we
is
got
the kickoff.
Phoenix tonight, then Seattle, and then we've got 3 days of junket in LA.
Jai, what's the cheap beer over there? It's called Royal, or
Where?
in Australia. What's the Prince, or it's got a name. I don't know, almost like a cheap beer, you know, like
Foster's.
Schlitz, but it's Royale or Prince or what's like a cheap beer?
There's tons of them.
Well, what's like the low one? Cheap local.
Like
one.
the worst beer you guys have?
Doesn't work like that.
Royal or something. Or,
It doesn't work.
dude,
like
I know a lot of Australian people. You're not the only one.
that. That's cool.
Did they give you cheap beer?
No, they were talking. They're like, "Oh man, we got this. We love talking about this one
Rashes?
thing." Anyway, it doesn't matter, dude. His name was
Really
Chris Hemsworth, and he's cooler than you. So that's fine.
You guys kind of play, for lack of a better word, jerks in the movie.
That is lack of a better word.
But lovable jerks. But can you talk a little bit about, like, did you guys get to sort of discuss the layer or the level that you want to keep that at, to where it's not terribly overbearing, but, you know, at the same time, like it is a very sort of military type of personality. Yeah. Like with Jai, like your guy is, you know, you're just very centered in what you want these guys to do, and you're kind of more of a cocky sort of guy. But can you talk a little bit about, like, how
Another lack
you
of a better word, my friend.
I'm sorry.
It's funny.
Can you talk about balancing that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you walk into a role like that, and the one thing I didn't want to do at all was kind of be like twisting my mustache in the corner, like,
Right.
you know, being evil.
Like an antagonist, not a villain.
Yeah, but exactly. And it was just like, you know, it's finding those moments. And I remember having times, and I can say this freely because I would be openly frustrated with Neil because he just wanted me to flatten everything. You know, it was like the note that would come in at the, you know, when it was like one more take, he'd come in and be like, and just dead, everything just dead. I'd be like, everything's gonna be fucking dead if I keep doing, you know, because I know you're gonna use that take. But I think that was.
And does he? I haven't seen it.
Well, it's, you know, I don't remember.
About 50% dead.
It's pretty dead.
Yeah.
No, it's like, you know, it's then up to them to kind of weave that together and find, you know, I think, you know, the producers and Neil wanted to get some charm out of Eric as well, and sort of make it enjoyable to watch. You know, if he's just like straight up kind of, if it's just nasty and it's not rooted in anything other than trying to like embarrass these initiates or something, well then it's, you know, no one gets anything out of that. But I think if you come at it from a place where, you know, it's kind of tough love, and he's actually, you know, that's how I played it anyway, was that, you know, this guy's invested in, I mean, he does, he wants the strongest, fittest, toughest people to get through. That's how they build an army, you know?
Yeah, he's doing it because it works.
Yeah.
It's not
and
doing
it's
it
like,
to be
you know,
mean.
if Triss wasn't a threat or whatever, well then, you know, the kind of, her plight is, I mean, that's what Dauntless kind of warriors are made of, this kind of, you know, that struggle and getting through that. So, yeah, there's a genuine objective there, I think.
Yeah. Miles, can you talk about, like, with Peter kind of keeping that balance of not, like again, not overselling it. Like, the twirling of the mustache is a great sort of analogy.
I can't grow a mustache. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, is that way?
That's because you're 19.
No, we're the same age, Jai. She's laughing. She's like, no, you're like 30.
Yeah, what are you doing talking about Australian beer?
The Imperial, that's the beer.
We don't have that in Australia.
You don't have Imperial in?
No.
I'll think of it. So yeah, I mean, for Peter, like, the thing is, you know, in the first book, I think he's a little. Now that, you know, in the first book, he's a little more one-dimensional. It's like, oh, he's always calling her stiff, or he's always picking on her. He's just like, bully's bullying her. Where's that coming from? And so for me, it was, I want to make Peter likable. You know, I think there's that was an objective of mine, and then also figure out where it's coming from. Nobody's mean just to be mean. Usually they're doing that because something, you know, more of a more internal struggle is going on, and I think that's what Veronica touches on really, you know, in the last book, second and last book, is, you know, his full character arc when he comes around, and Peter really doesn't like himself, you know what I mean, and that's and so for me, it was just kind of, making this character, which in the first book is pretty like one note, a little more fleshed out.
You guys last year at San Diego and kind of seeing the fandom that was starting there.
You were dressed as Wolverine?
Yes, I was dressed as Wolverine. Yes.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. But you
had a lightsaber too, and I was like, I never leave home without him.
Yeah. But no, we talked then about kind of the fandom of it, and then like last night seeing all the fans and how passionate they are about this. Can you talk about maybe some of the fan interaction you've had and what sort of effect that's had on you as far as this is concerned?
I think we're both glad security was there.
I've never heard the word selfie so much.
Yeah,
that's a new.
That was not around when I was in high school.
That was interesting. That's funny. Yeah, it's a different kind of fan, I guess, you get with a film like this, and that taps into the genre that we're talking about and this sort of stuff. It's like there's a specific audience, and I think it can. The appeal could bleed out all over the place, and anyone can see this movie and enjoy it. But yeah, it's
but it's mostly teenage girls. It's like.
But you're now those teenage girl idols to these kids, and I mean,
if they like
those experiences, last night of being able to like meet you guys and everything. I mean, they're going to have that for the rest of their lives. So
I'm glad my regular life as a 27-year-old guy, non-actor, is not filled with those kind of experiences, because it would be a lot to deal with. But for these press tours and when we kind of get out of our acting bubble and we're able to like meet and greet people, it's very cool. It's
great
in small doses with security.
But I think it's unhealthy to buy into hype around something so early. I remember the very initial like press meetings we had. Like we got out there to Chicago and we had to meet with like security guys, and we were getting talked through what the procedure was going to be for the duration of the shoot, and it sounded so ridiculous because no one was around the shoot. You know what I mean? We were just out there in the middle of Chicago working on a movie at a studio. It's like they're talking about having blacked out vans and this and that, and the transport
wardrobe, always wear a robe, and
so crazy. But it's obviously based on things that. Who knows what it'll be like next time around if this thing does really well? I don't know. And you want it to do as good as it possibly can. And along with that will come crazy shit.
But I tamper all my expectations. You look at a lot of the movies that have come out in this past year that have had a pretty big following. You talk about like The Host or Mortal Instruments, and these movies that were projected to do big things and just didn't.
That's right.
And honestly, for me, every movie I've done, I mean, for the most part, that people are like, oh, this is going to hit this amount at the box office, or this is going to be a big hit and this and that. It really hasn't happened. We know that we're going to do at least
projections
3 movies because we're doing a movie on each book.
That's great, but
But hey, if this first movie does not do a certain number, we will not shoot the second one. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all based on results. But according to the tracking, we're looking pretty good. So if that all happens,
it's a good movie, and the thing is, I mean, it's like that alone. I mean, you can have a tracking and a following and all that, can roll in. But I think when people see this, if they're not intrigued to already, they'll hear from their friends, and they will go check it out, and that's, it's good. I mean, it's good not having to sit here and fake your enthusiasm.
It's nice. It's a movie that like the whole family can enjoy. Really is, man. It's not. I've done some stuff that's like just for a very specific audience. But this is some, my grandma can go watch. I'm not naked in it. And